Hello, this is Issues of the Moment. The presidency says the nation's judiciary is not under attack, but corruption, which is one of the fundamental problems of the country. This is, however, coming on the heels of the arrest of judges, which has attracted mixed reactions from Nigerians. While some say the surgical operations aimed at sanitizing the judiciary is welcomed, others are against the manner of arrest. Well, stay with us on Issues of the Moment as we focus on the arrest of judges in Nigeria. My guest is a public affairs analyst, medical practitioner, and a politician. He is Dr. Chidia Maduekwe, a one-time chairman, House Committee on Defense in Nigeria's parliament. Dr. Maduekwe, welcome to Issues of the Moment.
Thank you very much. Viewers, good day.
Viewer, my name is Oku Ekpayong. We'll take a break, and when we return, it will be time for our discourse. Welcome back. This is Issues of the Moment. Our guest is Dr. Chidia Maduekwe, and he's here to talk about the arrest of judges in Nigeria. Let's start, Dr. Maduekwe. First of all, how would you describe Nigeria's judiciary?
Nigeria's judiciary is quite robust, has capability. It's been noted to have delivered very effectively and efficiently in the past. They have respectable pedigree and history, because from Nigeria in the past we had always populated the African continent with high notable jurists. So you can say that Nigerian judiciary, has that good history for itself. But talking about today, you cannot separate Nigerian judiciary from Nigeria as a whole, because we're talking about Nigeria. A whole lot have gone wrong. So if things went bad in the executive, in the legislature, you can as well expect that things may have also gone wrong in the judiciary. So today may not be the way it has been during the time of Oputa and YS or Elias and co.
But what would like to put your finger on and say, well, this was what happened many years ago before now? Do you want to place your finger on something and say, well, this is one of the landmarks of the judiciary in the years past?
Yeah, the judiciary is sacred because it has a high dose of sanctity attached to it. In the past, people who are judges, the way they live in the society, you can almost consider them as hermits. They just go to the chamber, the court, dispense justice, they go to church, they withdraw back to their homes to write judges. They would never lived a flamboyant kind of life. You saw them, they almost were like deity, people you revere, people whose word you can go to bank with. When a judge makes a statement, or indeed a lawyer makes a statement, you can take it as almost coming from the angels. That was the way it was in the past. But these days, we have seen that the lifestyle have changed. You see the people dispensing justice, riding very flamboyant cars. You see them spending money in large quantum that cannot balance with their income. It goes back to think about what Justice Oputa said meant when he said, money. You cannot go into being a judge to look for money, and that money corrupts. Not only does it corrupt the channels of justices, it corrupts the stream, and that when a time comes that justice needs to be bought and sold, it becomes a calamity for the society. In this country, we have seen, I'm happy the NGC report is out, and they made admittance that yes, there's corruption within the NGC, but probably it's not as high, it's not as much as the DSS want to make it appear. And this present administration have very high regard for the judiciary. And that is why the president started by appealing to them. The president have attended their conferences. The president have begged them. The president made corruption, a very critical platform for his campaign. And he cannot achieve success in that area of corruption if the judiciary are not with him.
Okay.
And we can also take example from what other eminent world leaders have said with regards to corruption. We are now talking about Kerry, the American Secretary of State. When he came around to Nigeria, he made it clear that corruption is the bane of this country. We cannot move, be it in the executive or in the legislature or even in the judiciary, when corruption is not dealt the big blow that it deserves. And that is why, taking you back to the campaign days, the president did say, if we do not kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigeria. And the president is walking his talk.
Okay, now it comes down to the whole thing we're talking about this on this episode of the program. The federal government says the arrest of judges is an attack on corruption, not on the judiciary. Now, what's your view on the onslaught against corruption in Nigeria's judiciary? How would you describe this?
There is no onslaught on the Nigerian judiciary. What is there that some judges have questions to answer? And I want to, in bringing it home, I want to give a metaphor. Assuming I were a learned gentleman and I became a judge of the Federal High Court, and one Saturday morning, I was in the market, Wuse Market, buying some apples and oranges. And I happened to have committed a crime in the market by maybe fraudulently collecting what did not belong to me. Do you expect the Nigerian police or the Nigerian enforcement agency to now leave me? Because when they now came to arrest me, I said, no, I'm a judge. The Nigerian police will leave me in the Wuse Market where I committed the crime and go to NGC and write them, so we've seen a judge in the market that committed the crime. We need to process him. We need to prosecute. I don't think that's what the Constitution said. So if a judge has committed a crime, it behoves the prosecuting agency or government, the enforcement agency, because it's a crime against state. It's not a crime against NGC. So that particular judge will be isolated by state agencies given the power under the Constitution to arrest, to detain, to prosecute, and bring to judgment. The NGC does not have right in the Constitution to prosecute. What they have, which they keep talking about their independence, is independence for disciplinary action that borders on code of conduct, and then dismissal. Where it is now needed for prosecution, they will hand over the person to prosecution. But that doesn't mean that it is the route it must follow. It does not mean that if the NGC does not discipline one of their officials or judges, that the law enforcement agents or government have no right to arrest, detain, investigate, and prosecute. The power to prosecute is not within NGC. The independence they are talking about is independence to deal with matters that have to do with discipline.
But the NGC is still insisting that they have the powers to prosecute and to clean off the bad eggs in the system.
No, go to the law, you will say there. They don't have power to prosecute. What they do is power to discipline themselves. When it gets to prosecution, they will hand over. Okay, that's why I gave you the example of the judge in the Wuse Market that committed crime. So the law is that it is against, the crime is against that of the state. So there is an agency, which is either the DSS, the police, the EFCC, that are mandated by law to arrest, to detain, to investigate, to prosecute. It is not the NGC. And then this issue of onslaught, we must get it right. The three arms of government are working based on separation of power. But we must understand that this separation of power implies there must be checks and balances. It is that check and balances that makes the three arms of government to work together in a manner to interpret the constitution, which is the ground norm. And I want to give an example. If you watch the rings in the FIFA flag, it's about 4 rings. They are interlocking and they form the emblem for the FIFA. In the same way, consider the judiciary, the legislature, the executive as 3 rings.
To interlock.
These 3 rings are interlocked. Even though they are separated to operate, that interlock brings about the checks and balance in the system, all focusing towards bringing out what the constitution was set out to do. In the constitution, section 308, it did not give the judiciary any immunity. The framers of the constitution made it clear that those who have immunity are president, vice president, governor, and deputy governor. Because I started by telling you that the judiciary is sacred, because they have high dose of sanctity imbibed into their function. So we are expected to respect the judiciary.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one question. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice has justified the arrest. Now he says that no one is or should be above the law.
Yeah.
Now, what do you make of this statement vis-a-vis interpreters of the law?
The law is very clear. Again, I want to rely on the NGC report. NGC did say some of their members in the past had been sanctioned, prosecuted, and even some jailed, or punished. So you find out that they're not arguing. NGC is not saying that the judges are above the law. All they're trying to say, well, yes, there may be some bad egg among us, but it is not as bad as you want it to appear. So they admitted that. They also supported the president in his fight against corruption. But me and you know that it is not exactly so, because a whole lot of rot has been going on. You find out that in this our crime, we had a case where a particular governor was absolved from all the 172 charges. And the same governor went to London and got nailed, and is still about ending his prison sentence. In the same environment, we had a situation where former governor of a state in the south side was supposed to have made away with 25 billion naira of the state. And the only thing given to him as punishment was 2 million naira. He opened his boot and paid for it. You are aware of the pension issue, where about 30-something billion naira were rusticated away from the coffers of the state and a slap in the hand just to, and you are aware of certain situations where even the judges have received dirty slap from governors. And NGC didn't say anything. What can be worse than that? A sitting governor going to court to slap a judge who's supposed to be in a sacred chamber dispensing justice, and NBA was quiet and the court was quiet. I mean, it doesn't sound.
But how would you describe the whole of this scenario playing out? Because it seems to be it's a new development in our body policy here in Nigeria. Arresting judges, who seem to be so sacred and so revered.
Yeah.
Now, what do you make of this development? Some observers are saying this is some sort of threat from the executive on the judiciary.
Okay, it's not a threat. Let's get it right. Nigeria today is a democracy, and we belong to, proudly so, Nigeria belongs to the club of nations that are been noted to be doing well, particularly under President Muhammad Buhari. President Muhammad Buhari has a lot of respect globally. Why does he have that respect? He has that respect because of his avowed integrity. He has that respect because he has chosen to fight corruption. In Ghana here, about 33 judges, you are aware of it, we are arrested, and 20 of them were, convicted. In United States, in the county, Cook County, in Chicago, in 1991, 17 judges were arrested, 15 were convicted, 3 committed suicide. They committed suicide. In fact, Allen Rosin, who was one of very high-rated judge in Chicago then, was among those that committed suicide. Reginald Holzer, who was fined for $200,000 he collected from multiple lawyers, was jailed for 18 years. In China, the vice president of the Supreme Court was arrested. In India, over 300-400 judges in 2011. In 2014, about 2 judges suffered the same fate. When Oshibanjo was the Attorney General in Lagos State, almost 40-something judges were let off. This president, vice president. And that brought sanctity to the Lagos judiciary.
Okay.
So what has been happening is that we've been treating this corruption with kid glove. Now we have a president who believes that he must lead by the front, he must walk his talk, who believes that nothing can be achieved. Because you see, the truth about it is that these judges are the ones that will dispense the judgment. And if you go to the same judges and you get permanent interlocutory injunction that for life you shouldn't be prosecuted, how do we bring justice? Remember what Oputa said, that when judgment are bought and sold, it brings about calamity in the society. When there's calamity in the society, it leads to internal insecurity. It can bring down the country to the abyss where they are.
Okay, Dr. Maduekwe, I'll put you on hold for now.
Thank you.
We'll take a break, and when we come back, viewer, please stay with us. Issues of the moment will continue in just a moment. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Thanks for staying with us. This is Issues of the Moment, and we have as our guest Dr. Chidia Maduekwe, who is speaking on the arrest of judges, and he's a public affairs analyst here with me. Let's go back to our questions for the break. The judiciary has been described as the last hope of the common man. What do you expect to see in the coming days? In terms of quick and thorough dispensation of justice?
Like I said, many of the judges are above board. It's just some few that have had it so rosy over the years, and they became more emboldened to do even the unthinkable. If the alleged kind of money that were found in their homes, you start wondering, our judges now bureau their change. You have rupees, you have CDs, you have dollars, you have naira, you have pounds, you have sterling in one man's house. What is all this money doing in your house? So with what is happening now, those who are contemplating in going that route will not do that. Even you can see how NBA came out to support them. But at the same time, you saw a lot of lawyers, formed into various associations to challenge the NBA president. That what he said is not right. And the lawyers were ready to be on the side of DSS. Because if you go through the law of the DSS, you can see that DSS, did not fault the law in any way. Abdul Salami, leaving office in 1999, expanded the law of DSS to make it possible for them to, intervene in issues that of economic crime that have something to do with national security. When a judge starts keeping millions of dollars in his house, you might as well wonder what is it being there for. And if what Oputa said is true, that when judgment are bought with money, it leads to calamity in the society, it means that people were bound to either revolt or pour to the street and bring into situation instability that we're already battling with. So with what is happening now, like I said, I guess more judges are above board. There will be more cleansing within them. Those who will have taken that part will no more take it. And it will send signal to everybody that if judges could be so treated, who are you, PAMSEC? Who are you, minister? Who are you, senator, that you cannot be visited by DSS?
Looking at the separation of powers and looking at the mood of Nigerians, some Nigerians are very elated at the arrest of these judges. Some say they've been victims of bad judgments, from the courts in Nigeria. And so they're happy about the cleansing going on, so-called cleansing going on. And that now they're asking, do you think there'll be more investigations coming up? Do you think the judiciary and the legislature and the executive were part of, some arrests? Like saying it in another form, Minister of Justice said, and I quote, "No member of the legislature, judiciary, and executive can definitely be exempted from investigation."
That's correct.
End of quote. Now, by these statements, do you think or do you expect arrests and investigation in the other arms of government?
Of course, why not?
And
I mean, why not? I mean, there are petitions flying. Remember that DSS didn't just wake up to go into this. People sent in petitions, which DSS, responded to. And if people are watching events happen in a manner that is not right, crime are being committed, and they send in petition to EFCC or DSS or the police, I think the appropriate agency of government empowered by law will move in, be it judiciary, be it the executive, and be it the legislature. You see, when Buhari came, he started with the executive. He started with the people in the executive to say, listen, it can't continue to be business as usual. And we have failed to understand this. And every part of the world, we are being watched. We are being, looked at and say, how are we? You see, Buhari went to UK the other time. And the Prime Minister was caught on camera talking about how fantastically corrupt Nigeria is. So, who are those that make Nigeria to be fantastically corrupt? You come into this country, we are one of the poorest countries that doing business is, scale of doing business is very low. Because when you come, I have problem with you. We go to the court. You saw what happened with the Lebanese guy in Kano, over issue of ammunition, and that was found, the Hezbollah guy. You can see how the matter just went there. It's just now, I understand they are trying to still act on the remnants that have not received judgment. So you find out that it does not give confidence to the foreign investor that when he comes to Nigeria, he may not get judgment. Just because I know who is the judge, I can talk to the registrar to parry me with the particular judge where I will get this thing. Then I will get a winning thing. You look at, you can see the NBA was shouting wolf. You wouldn't blame them, but look at their style. If a lawyer who is a professional in a country like Nigeria, that's supposed to be a very poor country, is flying private jets, owning private jet, owning Rolls Royce in different colors, owning Lamborghini Aventador, owning Porsche Carrera, packing them in colors in his house. Go and check what the professional code of ethics says with the lawyers, that their charges should be such, it should not be excessive. When a lawyer handles a election matter and buys a private jet, are you telling me his charges were within the professional code? No. So things are wrong. And he couldn't be buying those private jets because he won election if the judges themselves were free from, being compromised. I hope you understand what I mean.
Yes.
And so you win a judge. I gave an example the other day in some fora about Nyako in 2008. They went to Jos and purchased judgment against Nyako and cancelled his election. He won freely. Okay, INEC put the election for a run. What happened? Nyako won in 224 wards out of 26. What does that tell you? It means that the first time he won, the second time, the people say, we can do our judgment by ourselves. They came out in mass and voted him even more than before. So which means some of the judgments we get at the electoral tribunal are not factual. And so you leave the people with another 4 years of an inept, leadership that cannot deliver for any goods of this. Then when they acquire all the riches, many states are not paying salary. Even though when this administration came, they were bailout of God to pay the backup that was coming from the past administration. As we speak now, even though they are earning their financial allocation, they have still gone back to owing civil servants 10 months, 5 months, 3 months. Why is it so? You ask yourself, who is suffering? What is it bringing about? It's corruption. So that family that is not being paid in the state of Nigeria, where the governor is receiving his allocation, how is he supposed to see President Buhari? He will say, under APC Buhari, we are not eating food. When it's not the business, it's not the problem of the central government. It is the problem of the state government that are receiving their monthly allocation, but because of their corrupt nature, They are not evolving this money to reach to their civil servant.
So where do you hope to see the judiciary in the next 1 year? With all this,
the judiciary, like Nigeria, are going to move astronomically to very high reputable level. Nigeria, as we are today, we are poised for greater height. Despite whatever we see happening around us, it is all geared towards our good. Just like the executive, you can see in the executive the huge amount of money that has been released into the capital. Those capital projects are going to take place to bring trickle-down benefit to the common man. You can see what is happening with rice farms in the north, Lagos State partnering with Kebbi. By December now, rice will be so cheap that you start wondering. So 20-something billion we spend on importation of food items, we will reserve it for our country. You can see that happening. The same thing happening in judiciary. You now go to the court, you find out that your case is not going to stay for another 10 years, 5 years, because the lawyers are taking advantage of technicalities to postpone it. The judges now will want to sit up and say, listen, we are an institution that is being held in very high esteem. So judges will now remember that we are from a section or arm of the government that has sacredness attached to it. So we shall live above God. We'll go back to where we came from, which is where sanctity rule, and not where money, cash and carry, buying of judgment, like Oputa lamented, rules.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chidia Maduekwe, for coming on the program. Issues of the Moment. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us and to talk about the arrest of judges in Nigeria. We hope to see a clean and cleansed judiciary in the coming years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, viewers.
And viewer, my name is Maduekwe. We thank you for watching Issues of the Moment. We've been talking with Dr. Chidia Maduekwe, a one-time chairman, House Committee on Defense in Nigeria's Parliament. Thanks for watching, and do keep a date with us on Issues of the Moment. I am Maduekwe once again. Bye for now.